Hey, what's up guys? In today's video, we're going to be going over some interesting PlayStation news. If you end up enjoying the video, drop it a like, and if you want to stay up to date on the latest PlayStation news, make sure you subscribe. So the first topic in the video is about how apparently there is a tease for Naughty Dog's new IP for the PS5. So we're going to be reading from PlayStation Universe where it says The Last of Us Part 1 fans reckon the game contains hints to Naughty Dog's new IP. Naughty Dog is keeping quiet about its new IP for the PS5, but The Last of Us Part 1 players reckon the Sony-owned studio has hidden a few hints about the project within the latest version of its post-apocalyptic title. Fans have begun poking around in every nook and cranny of The Last of Us Part 1 and have uncovered a bunch of posters that seem to have a fantasy theme, something which Naughty Dog's new IP is supposedly based around. While these could be completely unrelated to whatever Naughty Dog is working on next, it's worth remembering that the studio has previously teased upcoming projects in its games. For example, Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception teased The Last of Us via a newspaper article about the infection. Speculation about a fantasy setting for Naughty Dog's next major project originates from some concept art posted by Hyung Nam back in early 2021, which depicted a female medieval warrior sitting beside a very dead dragon. News quickly spread, and Nam said they were merely a homage to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, a game that does not actually feature dragons. Was this just Nam attempting to cover their tracks and turn attention away from something that may be related to Naughty Dog's new game? It's possible, but we'll just have to wait and see. And so yeah, I mean, me personally, I haven't seen these posters in the game myself, like when I was playing the game, but Naughty Dog Central posted these screenshots, and so if I can find them, I will put them in the video so you guys can see them. And so yeah, it does look like fantasy themed. I mean, could this be a hint at Naughty Dog's new IP? I mean, it could be. And of course, you know, like that ties into, you know, what it said in the article when that person showed off concept art about that lady sitting next to a dragon, but apparently that was just an homage to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you know. And I mean, if Naughty Dog is working on like a fantasy themed new IP, would I be shocked? I mean, yes and no, because obviously at some point they're going to make a new IP, and you know, whenever they do, it can't be anything like The Last of Us. Like, it can't be post-apocalyptic, there can't be any zombies, or it'll just be compared to The Last of Us, you know. So like, what's the furthest thing you could go from The Last of Us? And that would pretty much be something fantasy related, you know. And something I've always wanted Naughty Dog to do, and mainly them because they create extremely well written characters and stories. And like, what if they made something like, not exactly Game of Thrones, but something like that, where it takes place in like a medieval time, and there's like people fighting for the throne. So literally pretty much like Game of Thrones, it's just not called Game of Thrones. I feel like Naughty Dog could do a really good job in something like that. If it does end up being something like fantasy, I wouldn't expect anything like Final Fantasy, you know. I feel like maybe something more like medieval would be actually really awesome from Naughty Dog, you know. And so yeah, I mean, I personally don't think that those posters in The Last of Us Part 1 is like teasing like their next game, because I mean, we know they're working on The Last of Us Online game right now, and surely they're either working on a new IP or The Last of Us Part 3, you know. But hopefully sooner rather than later we'll actually find out what Naughty Dog's been working on this whole time. And so yeah, what do you guys think? Down below, let me know your thoughts on these potential teases for Naughty Dog's new IP for the PlayStation 5. Moving on to the next topic in the video, we're going to be going over some new gameplay for God of War Ragnarok. So we're going to be reading from PlayStation Universe where it says, new God of War Ragnarok footage unveils Svartalfheim in all its dwarven glory. Sony Santa Monica Studio and Game Informer have lifted the veil on a fresh batch of God of War Ragnarok gameplay footage for you to feast your eyes on, this time looking at the dwarven realm of Svartalfheim. In case you forgot, this is just one of 9 realms that players will be able to visit in the God of War 2018 sequel, with Kratos and Atreus having the freedom to explore the lavish Norse landscapes at their leisure. And so yeah, we got a like 90-second new gameplay clip and just new footage for God of War Ragnarok from Game Informer. And yeah, I mean, I've obviously seen it, and the game looks really good, you know. I mean, of course a lot of people are going to say, oh, it looks just like God of War 2018, and yes, I mean clearly Ragnarok looks better visually. And a lot of people are saying that the gameplay looks pretty much the exact same, and yes, it does. But obviously, like, there's going to be new moves and stuff, and it's going to be, all the things that made the gameplay so great in 2018. Sony Santa Monica is only going to improve upon those. And from what I've seen so far, it looks really, really good. Hopefully there's no way this is going to happen, but hopefully this is like the last that we see of this game, because this game launches in like 2 months, and I just don't want to see anything else until we actually can play the game ourselves. And so yeah, it also shows this new realm. Apparently, I guess that's where the dwarves come from in Norse mythology. And so yeah, it looks really, really good. It looks really, really lived in. As you can see, there's like people. Whenever Kratos and Atreus are like in the boat, you can see people on the sides walking around. So it seems like there's going to be more NPCs in the sequel. And yeah, I'm just very, very excited. And we'll probably get a state of play as we get closer and closer to launch. What do you guys think down below? Let me know your thoughts on this new gameplay footage that we got for God of War Ragnarok. Moving on to the final topic in the video, we're going to be going over some very exciting news when it comes to Spider-Man 2. So this is actually coming from Millie Amond over on Twitter, and I'm not too familiar with her work, and it seems like sometimes she releases information to hype up certain games, and I believe she's gotten things right in the past, and she's had a lot to say about Spider-Man 2 earlier today, and it just sounds really, really good. So she put out a tweet saying, quote, "Spider-Man 2 for PS5 is exceeding expectations for Marvel higher-ups. Fluidity and visual punch is striking, according to employee of Marvel. Another employee thought they were watching a cutscene," and she finishes by saying gameplay to be shown soon. And so yeah, obviously this is very, very exciting to hear. Marvel Spider-Man 2 is one of my all-time most anticipated games. I cannot wait to play this game. All these things that she's saying doesn't surprise me at all. This is what I expect. From what, even just like on a visual standpoint, from Spider-Man Remastered for PS5 and Miles Morales and then Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Those games graphically, like, there's not too many games like ever that surpass these games in visual fidelity, and I feel like Spider-Man 2 is going to be one of those games that does that. And yeah, I do have very high expectations for this game. It has a lot to live up to, because not only is it a Spider-Man game, but it's the follow-up to it's the best superhero game ever made, at least in my opinion. And so yeah, pretty much everyone has very high expectations, and I have 100% faith in Insomniac, and I think they're going to knock it out of the park. Yeah, apparently Millie A is also saying that gameplay is going to be shown soon. We all hate that word soon, because that could mean a week, it could mean a month, it could mean in a few months. We just don't know. We were all kind of hoping that Sony was going to announce a PlayStation Showcase for this week, and it looks like that's not going to be happening. So maybe sometime next week. I still believe we are getting a showcase sometime this month. And so yeah, but also something that is still confusing is that, since Sony isn't having a showcase this week, and also later this week is when D23 starts, and Marvel is going to be showing off some of their upcoming Marvel games, which is going to include Amy Hennig's new game, which is apparently going to be Fantastic Four. And also apparently it's the 60th anniversary of Spider-Man. So you would think that at least Spider-Man 2 would show up at least a little bit, maybe like a new trailer, but at the same time, like, that doesn't make sense, because like Sony would want to reveal Spider-Man 2 at their own event. But who knows, maybe, because Sony is only partnering with Marvel. Like, obviously Marvel owns the Spider-Man IP, and Sony is just allowed to make these games. So maybe it's a thing where like Marvel was like, no, we're going to show off Spider-Man 2 at D23, and then like the week after you can show off whatever you want. I have no idea, but hopefully we do get gameplay very, very soon, because the game is coming out sometime next year, and I just cannot wait to see what they've done to somehow make the gameplay better, if that's even possible. And so yeah, what do you guys think? Down below, let me know your thoughts on these new updates regarding Spider-Man 2, and also let me know when you think we might be getting gameplay for Spider-Man 2. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it or found it informative, drop it a like, and hit the subscribe button by turning on the post notification bell so you don't miss my next upload. Until next time guys, take care.